What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another update for the week. So we are starting to add in more livestock into the tank. I've been doing it every other day, every 2 days or so. I've been just adding a very slow amount of fish, and as we feed the tank, we're going to get more bacteria growth in the tank, and it's going to be more established. So since the last update, we were able to add in the blue tang and the regal angelfish as well. We also added the cleaner shrimp into the tank. So along with the fish, I've been adding in the snails slowly as well. I don't want to overwhelm the tank with too many snails just because we don't have enough algae growth into the tank yet. I'm seeing a little bit of algae here and there grow on the walls and then slowly on the rocks. And as I see a little bit more, I'm going to add in more snails. The lights are dialed in for the most part for where I want it to be until I actually get in some of the nems into the tank to see how they react to it. I won't know for sure if I need to raise it or lower it. But right now it looks like this is going to be the light schedule. So here's a week later of the mushrooms in the tank. Everything is starting to open up a lot better. This was after a dip as well. A lot of the mushrooms did retract back, but as you can see, they're starting to open up a lot. So I'm happy to say that, it is coral ready as well. I just want to make sure everything's really, balanced and established before adding in, the color of sunburst, for example. Also, if you noticed, the macroalgae, a lot of it has been just eaten away. And that's to be expected because, a lot of these fish are, algae eaters. They'll eat the macroalgae, and that's what I want them to do. What I plan to do is grow a lot of these macroalgae in the sump, and as I get a lot of them, I'll kind of plant them into here and then let them kind of munch on them, throughout the week or whatever, because as you can see, they've taken, probably a little over a week to kind of eat all of the macroalgae that I've had in here. So it's gonna, be more of a snack for them and not really, a meal. Also, if you haven't noticed, on the corner right there is where I've kept one of the baskets. On the other corner as well, I've kept the other basket there. These two baskets were in the sump, and I decided to move them up here, possibly housing the extra nems that I'm gonna have, because obviously they're gonna multiply like crazy, and as I get more, I'll put them in there and I'll trade them off, sell them off or whatever, and it's easier to catch them that way. But I initially was going to put them in the sump because I have, a strong enough light in the sump. But those baskets, they didn't fit the sump the way I liked it in terms of utilizing the space. And I'll show you what I've done or changed to the sump so that I can kind of utilize the space a little bit better. All right, so this isn't the prettiest setup. There's a lot of bends to this, but I bought this plastic, I guess, mesh. It looks like this, but they kind of have a bend to them because they're rolled up when you buy them, so hopefully over time they'll kind of straighten out. If not, I'm looking for maybe other potential possible solution down the road, maybe some sort of acrylic sheets. They'll cut the size and will have holes in them or something like that. But for the time being, all I want was to have it separated so that I can grow either one quadrant just like frags or whatever. The next one would be macroalgae. We have dragon breath, we have some Clarpa ferns over there, and then maybe Shado over here or something like that, and maybe something else over here. And for the time being, I have the clownfish that was in the other tank, the pair of clownfish in here. They can kind of go in between just because it's not walled off completely. But we want to have them in here because eventually I'm going to have the other clownfish moved into the same system and hopefully get them all in the same group. So I'm gonna kind of put them together, see how they react. If they don't fight each other, we'll put them all together. If not, we'll have to kind of keep them separated and see which ones get along and which ones don't. So the plan kind of changes from time to time, but we're gonna kind of convert this into a huge refugium with different macroalgae grown here. All right, so I've been slowly working on the electrical cabinet, electrical box or whatever. I don't have everything in place yet. Obviously, we have 2 more lights that are outside in the rack. Eventually we need to, put them in here. Once we get those in here, I'm going to figure out how to wire them and mostly try to hire the wire as best as possible. For example, running them along this beam here, behind here. You can't see them on the other side. Running them down, and then I might split 2 lights over here and 2 lights on the other side for the other cabinet. So that side is going to have a cabinet for the trident, the doser, and whatnot. And then this side is going to be kind of the gyre right? And then some of the lights and probably the refugium light down here. And I don't know where I'm gonna put the UV sterilizer. If I have more room, I'm gonna have it on that side just because the brick is on that side. And if not, we'll have it, you know, laid down here somewhere. I haven't painted yet, I haven't done anything. All I did was cut holes and just kind of fed the wires through. No. Sir, now. So all I did was cut, you know, the pieces together. I drilled these holes, put some of these caps or whatever on them, and I just ran the wires temporary to them. I used Velcro to hold this into this location here. I haven't painted everything yet, so I'm gonna paint it white just to kind of keep it clean to match the cabinets. All right, so here's the cabinet. So eventually that box or that board is just going to sit directly in the back of this. And what we're going to do is, once we have everything in place, we're going to use these L brackets or whatever and just kind of screw them down to here, and it's just gonna hold it into place there. I tried Velcro on the bottom and it didn't hold. And then this back here, it's just like some sort of like cardboard, so it won't stick really well. But yeah, so we'll have that, boom, and this will be against the wall, whatever. And that'll be kind of like a perfect, like, you know, matching set, and it'll just be in the back of the tank so you won't see it. So other than adding in a livestock slowly here, I need to figure out a good flow so that this doesn't get blown around. As you can see back there, here, the corner there, and the corner there always gets things blown around. And I may want to put like a rock or something right there in front of there, so it just kind of blocks some of the current or some of the potential like wave. Once I get the lids in, this is a temporary lid, I'm going to raise it to its height that I want, or put it lower or whatever, and figure out, you know, what the nozzle placements are going to look like, and then from there figure out the adjustments for the gyres to see if I can lower it, because right now it's pretty low. It's at 10%, 20% on some of the higher end settings, and still it blows us around because it's a shorter, shallow tank. And I don't really mind it being blown around per se, but I would like it to kind of be somewhat even, because you have like a nice like sand bed there, no sand, and then all of a sudden like sand. Yeah, I would like it to be somewhat balanced. But again, once we have corals in here, and maybe, you know, some of that Montipora in the future, it might block some of this flow here, and the flow might change. So, you know, these are the pods that, I don't know if you guys can see, you can kind of see that dot right there, but those are some of the pods. But it looks like the pods are starting to take off slowly. I was kind of afraid, like, you know, a lot of them would die during the cycling phase. I was trying to time it where it would kind of like almost cycle and then, you know, add in the pods. But because we had that leak incident, it kind of delayed everything by like a week and a half. So like I couldn't start the cycle, and the pods had already came in, so I had to just, you know, throw them in here while the tank was cycling. I normally add them like right after it cycles, but unfortunately we couldn't do that, or we couldn't time it correctly, and you know, it is what it is. What I'll do is I'll add in another batch, you know, and probably a couple weeks here, just add in another batch of pods and just kind of let them establish. This time I'll probably add a lot of it in the sump. I'll kind of get that established in there as we, you know, move in more macroalgae for them to kind of house. But yeah, I really like the black background that they have on the tank here, just because it hides so much. Like for example, you can't even see or notice those baskets unless I pointed them out, right? Because they're just black. They're just like, they just match, right? So it's pretty cool that I can just have those kind of in the back and, you know, not really notice them back there. But yeah, right now I'm just super happy that these guys are able to get out of that small tank into this bigger tank and just kind of swim around, enjoy the free space here. Probably tomorrow what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my very first water change in the system, just because it's been using the same water since, you know, startup. So there's a lot of junk from the tank sitting here. I know that the carbon will remove a lot of it, but I want to just remove something that I know that's in the sump, because as you can see here, I'm going to try to siphon a lot of that junk out in the sump. You see that? It's just junk, mainly from the sump. The sand is going to be good for now. I'll probably do the next water change of the sand where I kind of siphon the sand bed. I might want to leave it to establishing or let it grow for maybe, I don't know, maybe the next month or so before I siphon anything there, because it's just getting blown around anyways. And you can see there's a lot of junk in the sump already. So I want to siphon the sump in the first water change, clean up as much junk and debris as possible. And then I also want to add in the photo top off into this system, fill up, you know, the ATO as well, because everything from the 54-gallon tank has been moved over here. So really that tank I'm gonna shut down, clean up everything and convert it to something else for a future project. So I'm gonna use that ATO over here, fill this up so that way I don't have to always fill it with, you know, buckets of water or whatever. But I have tape already kind of to figure out where I want, you know, the lines to be at. The clowns are looking pretty happy right now. Boom, boom, there we go. It's all filled up. Temporary lid. Boom, there we go, that's it. We have a lid just to kind of keep the evaporation down as much as possible. And also it's easy to remove so I can fill in water, no problems there. This thing holds a lot of water, so we'll see. We'll probably only have to fill it up maybe once every 2 weeks, hopefully, and that'll be pretty sick, so we'll see. Alright, the first water change on the system was completed. Everything looks pretty good right now. Everything is going into blue light mode. It's getting dark. So yeah, we're taking things slow, and as things progress, we will add in more fish and corals to the tank. If you guys are not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. Like always, till next one, guys. Peace.